I'm Glenn Heshka, Professor, Television Broadcasting Program here at Seneca College. My guest today is Craig Milne. Welcome, Craig.
How you doing, Ben?
Doing well,
Nice
man.
to see you.
Yourself?
Good, good.
Good to see you after like 10 years.
It's been 10 years since I've been back here.
Yeah, well, good stuff. The place has changed a little bit.
A little bit. Good.
Cool. So you're a student. You graduated in about 2005, which is, I think, what we figured.
2005, that's as good as I can remember, yeah.
Yeah, right. So we've had a little tour. Is it looking any different?
Well, I mean, when I was here, the best camera we had was the DVX 100, and we shot with the SD DVC Pros, so it's looking a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool. All right, so you went through and you graduated. I'm not going to ask you to try and remember what school was like 10 years ago, but do you remember your transition from college to the industry? Where'd you do your internship and where'd you go?
I did my internships at the SCORE. My internships helped me. I mean, it made me realize that I didn't necessarily want to be at the SCORE, but I had a very fun internship. I guess the SCORE is not the SCORE anymore. It's now called Sportsnet 360.
Yeah.
After they got bought out. You know, after it was a good transition because I also went to York University, and when I graduated from there, I graduated and I said, what am I supposed to do now? After I graduated from college, I had a direct path, and I started to do some freelance work. But really, what I did was I went out and bought my own camera and tried to become a documentary filmmaker, which I failed miserably in 2 documentaries, but it definitely gave me a start.
So you bought your own stuff. What did you buy at the time?
I bought an HVX 200.
Okay. Now, and that didn't work. Now, why didn't that work? What happened?
Well, you know, and this is going to sound like a plug for my company, but you don't go buy equipment is one thing, because I had technical problems with it and you have nobody to fix it. The other reason is I tried to make a documentary by myself. Director, DOP, script writer, everything by myself. And, you know, there's people that are successful at it. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah. You were new out of school, too.
I was new out of school, yeah.
All right, so then that didn't really work, but is that when you found Sim Video at the time?
At the time it was Sim Video, yeah. I had just come back from Grenada, which is where my family's from. I was trying to shoot my documentary there. I actually hooked up a possibility of working in a studio in Grenada, which probably sounds funny that anybody thinks there's a studio in Grenada. So I was going to work at Sim over the summer. But I got there and I liked it. They have great people. Rob Sim is an amazing man, and he's done amazing things for the industry. And I've been there ever since. It's been about 8 years.
Yeah. So where did you start out? What were you doing when you first came into Sim?
I started as a rental coordinator. Yeah. So I just set up the rentals for people. You know, it's a very busy industry out in Toronto, so it's a very busy job, keeps you on your toes.
I remember I used to rent from Sim way back when John was doing the rental stuff in their old building. Did you ever work in the old building?
No.
Okay, all right. So that was way back when they were in that very little small spot. And I remember we showed up to pick up gear one day, and we were heading up to Shannonville to shoot all this race stuff with this company. And we show up, and we had a pickup truck. And I remember one of the guys coming back in, and I don't remember if it was John or one of them walked by and went, "They have a pickup truck." They're going to put $400,000 worth of camera in a pickup truck.
Yeah, well, you know what? We have shows that take $1 million worth of stuff and do crazy stunts with it too, but that's what insurance for, right?
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It all came back with no problems. Actually, we even got a very impressive 80 times lens that you had to ship from Vancouver, I think, for us at the time. They say it was a while ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, so the job now. So you were a rental guy. You were like, okay, here's your camera. That's evolved over the last couple of years. Can you sort of take me through that?
Yeah, I just started doing little daily rentals, and then I moved on to handling, you know, all the network television shows. I mean, that's our main business is network television shows, and I became the person to handle them. I mean, I think what people don't realize about the rentals industry is it's not just give me money and take this piece of gear. We're a service industry, right? And the reason why people don't just buy this gear is because they need somebody to service them. If something goes wrong, they're having camera problems, everything becomes our fault. So I started by doing all of the network television shows, and from there I was able to move up. I became camera department manager, and now I'm the GM of Sim Toronto.
Cool. That's a neat little position for a very large company.
Yeah, they've been great to me, and I've had to work hard too, but it's been working out.
So you say you had to work hard, indeed, and I'm sure you see a lot of people that walk in that door and they want to be a shooter, or they are a shooter and they want to be more of a shooter. What kind of atmosphere is that? Like, what do those people have to do to make it work?
I mean, the easy answer is you have to be good at your trade. But I mean, and I think this is something that you guys taught us here, is that, we're dealing with such a small industry here. You go on to set and you don't have etiquette, and people will remember that, and that might be the last time you work. There's a lot of great shooters out there. I mean, there's a lot of people who come through our door, and what separates the guys that are shooting suits from separating the guys that are just shooting little corporate videos, not that there's obviously anything wrong with that, is not always skill. It's how you compose yourself on set, how quickly you can get it done, and that's sort of what I learned, is because you see a lot of people that have skill that are doing things that are not as high profile, and you ask yourself why, and then I've visited set a couple of times, and that's what I figured out. But I mean, it does come down to skill. I mean, we have a lot of skilled people in Canada. I mean, there's a lot of times where we bring in US DPs, and I always ask producers why we need to do this. I mean, it's not because the people in the US have more skill than the Canadian people. A lot of times it is who a US showrunner will come up from the States and have a DP that they've worked with, and they'll bring them up. But we definitely have a lot of skill in Canada. One of the people, we're doing a show called The Expanse, and a DP named Jeremy Benning is doing that. It's probably going to be out in September, but it's probably the biggest budget television series that's ever gone through Toronto. I think it was about $5 million an episode. Sweet. Which is big for us.
Yeah. So what else does Sim does? The camera rental. You service your camera. Now you have a whole engineering area there as well. What else? Because I know Sim's been buying stuff. They've been getting bigger.
Well, yeah. Now a couple years ago, we bought production services. So now we've added lighting and grip. 4 years ago, these are mergers, let's call them. We merged with Bling Digital, who do dailies. We've always had a post department, but our post department was a little bit smaller. We did offline. We just merged with Pixel Underground in December, who's an online post company. And a week ago or two, it just closed with Tattersall, which is an offline and sound editing company. Sweet. So we can essentially be, from top to bottom, the Sim group. We've kept all the names, but we can do a project from top to bottom. From camera, lighting and grip, dailies, go to offline, go to online, go to color, and then conform.
Yeah. Wow. So you can handle all the big stuff. Now, how about the little guy? How about that? How about that guy doing that corporate?
Well, what we never forget is, I mean, we didn't start, Rob didn't start his business by doing these network shows or feature films. We started our shows by, the owner-operator coming in, well, not the owner-operator, but the shooter coming in and renting a camera or renting accessories. So that's definitely still a huge part of it. And that's our bread and butter. I mean, we know this industry is doing very good right now, but all it takes is something like SARS. And we're not doing as many series as we do here, and we have to rely on that as well. So we do a lot of docudrama. There's a company, Cineflix, and we do a majority of their docudrama shows and proper. So we do stuff like MasterChef and Mayday, Canada's Worst Driver. So we run the whole gamut of productions. Some
crazy television.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You gotta love the industry for the fact that it's expanded the way it has. There's ideas out there. And I know when I used to teach the production planning class, I'd come up with this. I'd tell them a concept of something going on out there, and I'm thinking it's the stupidest, most ridiculous television program I ever saw. And why the hell didn't I think of that?
Yeah. I know. Well, we just finished a pilot called Cheerleader Death Squad. So they'll come up with anything. I mean, content just keeps coming. I mean, we are recycling a lot of content. I think now that we have, there's more ability, especially in CG now, that they're deciding to, we could do this a lot better because it didn't look as good. Like how many Batmans are we on? I mean, Toronto got known for that. I mean, last couple of years we did Total Recall, the remake of that. We did Carrie. We didn't do these shows, but these are just shows shot in Toronto. So there is a lot of recycled content out there.
Cool. All right, so back to Seneca. Here we have a bunch of fourth terms right now, 1 week away from graduating, and they're going to hit the pavement. They're going to knock on a door, maybe yours. What are they going to do to impress you? What do they need to do to impress you? Or at least even let you open the door.
You know, I go back to just it's hard work and etiquette for me. I mean, you know, there's right now it's Sim. I mean, the most important thing is, I mean, in this industry, as I'm sure you know, people can get very uptight about certain things, and we're not we're not doing heart surgery. It's not the most important job in the world. So we have a very light atmosphere at Sim. So that kind of stuff is important to me, and just the obvious hard work. I mean, nobody's going to come in there knowing everything. I don't know close to anything. So as long as you're showing the willingness to work, you know, you don't come in with a chip on your shoulder, then that's something I look for. And I think that's something that everybody in the industry looks for.
Cool. Craig Milne, 2005 alumni from Seneca, Sim Video General Manager. Good to talk to you, man. All right. Thanks a lot.